Hey guys, Jeff with Top Star Mobile Detailing Las Vegas. In today's video, we're going to be collaborating with my good friend Peter from the Best Detail Las Vegas. Peter has been in the industry for a long time now. He's someone that I looked up to when I was just getting started in the business. He's one of the guys, the six-figure detailers out there that's been very successful in his business. That being said, I'm gonna kind of just jump right in and let Peter tell you a little bit about his background. How did you get started detailing, Peter?
Super weird. We, back in high school, as we were exiting high school, graduating, obviously all of us used to party. And one of my best friends hit me up and was like, hey, get your graduation money together. We're starting a mobile car wash company tomorrow. And I was like, you are absolutely crazy. You're out of your mind. But him being my best friend, obviously listened to him. So next day we went out and bought a trailer, and we were sitting in parking lots washing cars. And that's kind of how the business has evolved. We went through a couple different names, partnered up with some people, learned working with different companies. And in 2013, I bought out a really good buddy of mine, James Battaglia, who owned Platinum Auto Spa, and we converted our name into what's now 15 years later, the Best Detail.
And how many, I know you have multiple units. How many units are you actually running nowadays?
We are running 7 units full time that I have myself, 1 trailer and 7 vans, and then I sublet work out to other companies that we kind of mentor and coach and help build and grow closely with others, another 6 companies.
That's awesome, man. Are those all here locally in Vegas?
All locally in Vegas, yeah.
Yeah.
All guys that either have worked for us in the past that have, wanted to take that leap of faith and kind of jump out and branch into their own, which obviously there's not a lot of people that are willing to support others in our industry, and I think the absolute opposite of it, because if you look around, whether you're in Las Vegas, California, Arizona, there's millions of cars, millions of people. There's plenty of work out here for everybody, but also collaborating with other like-minded people and individuals that can help build and grow the industry and change it, as a lot of people are diminishing the industry by undercutting and devaluing what our industry has to offer. I take it to a completely different approach and work with other guys like yourself. I mean, we're on Instagram, Facebook, we jumped on text messages, calls.
Yeah.
And it's about seeing how we could also build and grow as a community nowadays.
Yeah, Peter is one of those guys that he shares the same mindset I do. We both come from like an abundance mindset where there's like plenty of business to go around. We're not looking at each other, even though we are competitors in the market, we don't see each other as like competitors to where like we can't help each other. One of the things I really appreciate about Peter, even from the start, was he's one of those guys where if you reach out to him and you have a question and you need help, he'll be that guy that'll help you. I've reached out to a few detailers when I first started, and some of the guys were like, why would I want to help you? You're my competition. I'm not trying to help my competition like grow and succeed. But Peter was not like that at all. He's always been there. Every time I had a question or asked him something, he's been like, hey man, not only that, he's been like, hey, let me come help you even. He's offered to like come out to a job. If I got stuck on something, he's like, man, tell me where you're at. I'll come help you, So it's having good people like that in the industry, That's really what it's all about, is just helping each other grow and succeed. And there's plenty, like Peter was saying, there's plenty of business out there. Vegas, we're a city of like a population of 3 million people within, a 30 to 50 mile radius. So it's like there's a huge market here, and there's plenty of work for everyone to go around, So it's not, you shouldn't have that scarcity mindset of like, I don't want to help another detailer or something like that. That's just my opinion.
Of course. And I also believe that there's plenty of opportunity, but the way that we've also spoke on the past and spoke to other detailers about is, all these guys that view you as competitors, they also get a bad taste in their mouth when they're like, hey, I spoke to Jeff and he came off as a negative individual. Just using you as an example, obviously you aren't in any way, shape, or form. But if you look at a company that's going to kind of trash someone, especially in our local market, because we are such a small city, I guess, there aren't really a lot of people that are providing great value, but also a really good service, but a good experience as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's what separates, myself apart from other guys, you from, other guys. Obviously, our good old buddy, good old Randy,
Man,
with OG
Yeah.
detailing. I mean,
Yeah.
Black Diamond. I mean, we can confidently, if I can't get to an appointment or one of our staff members can't, the first thing that I'm going to do is, get a hold of you or Randy and confidently know, hey, hey, Sandy, unfortunately we aren't available today, but if you like a secondary referral, I have no problem referring you to someone that is absolutely awesome. They're an industry leader, they're an industry vet, and, unfortunately I can't, but you're going to be in just as good hands as if, you're going to do it, I'm going to do it, another individual is going to do it, rather than just risking that chance of them having to go on Google, Yelp, Yahoo, Instagram, and Facebook,
The roulette
and
wheel,
and roll the dice on, hey, am I actually going to get a good referral, or since I'm calling this company knowing that they're a 5-star rated service, whatever the case may be, at least they know that they're safe and secure having a secondary option by that referral. And that's what I'm a huge believer in, because there's enough work out here for everybody plus some.
Yeah. Now, going back to scaling, we ran into each other at the gas station a couple weeks back, and we started kind of chopping it up and talking a little bit about scaling businesses. And it's one of the things that I've gone back and forth with in my business of adding that second unit. If I actually want to go that route, I've been having really good success as a solo detailer myself, which, it has its ups and downs, its pros and cons. I guess the main con would be that I work all the time, 7 days a week, pretty much all the time. And I bounce back and forth between, is it a good move to get that second unit, and then have to get employees and stuff like that? Does it make sense to do that? Like, what's your opinion on that for maybe me or even other detailers that may be at that solo level right now, where they're kind of close to maxed out as what they can do as a solo detailer, and it's either keep cruising along at the speed they're at, or take the risk and move up to the next level and get a second unit?
Obviously, when it comes to that, from my point of view, we've scaled, we've downscaled, we've bought, we've sold routes. Customers build that relationship with you. They build that trust within you, so they know, hey, if Jeff is going to be coming out, I have nothing to worry about. And at the end of the day, we're all human. We aren't perfect. Mistakes are going to happen, And once you start building and scaling, it's the risk versus reward, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the best scenario that I can give. I'm all about risk. I risk everything.
Yeah.
If I have $20,000 on me right now, I'm risking it in something, whether it's crypto, real estate, detailing, something else. I'm risking it all because I want to put it all right back out. But when you risk everything, also creates opportunity, and if you're going to be in that one-dimensional mindset of, hey, what happens if I don't take that leap of faith? Where can you be in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? I've always wanted to build something where I could build it and walk away, and the automotive side of things, I just haven't been able to build it and comfortably step away, because it's a relationship built industry. But your customers, we aren't dealing with your everyday people that have, Hyundai Elantras. I mean, we are dealing with very successful, very wealthy people. So high net worth people. So you build that trust with them, and they know, well, hey, if Pete hires this guy, or if he's sending someone out to do it, I know that it's going to get done. Maybe not the exact same way as Pete, but also, we have checkoff sheets, work order sheets that, hey, when we finish the job, hey, Jeff, we need you to come out, do a thorough walk around of the vehicle just to ensure that everything's up to par and make sure everything looks great. I think scaling is a great idea if, you want to have headache every once in a while. I mean, business isn't easy, but also, I got to get my hair cut every Monday and Friday, and, I'm not bald like you yet, but if I keep going the way that I am, I will be.
And I think it comes down to finding the right help and the right staff too, right? Which is something that I've struggled with so far. If I am going to build out that second unit and make that kind of investment, I want somebody that I can kind of apprentice and I can rely on, maybe 2 people even, just in case something happens with one, because you don't want to put that kind of investment into a second unit. Something falls apart with the person you hired, and now that unit's just sitting in the driveway collecting dust, right? So that's the thing that I've been struggling with, is finding the right help. What would you say, some insight you could give as to finding like good help, good reliable employees? Like, where do you go? Did you go through like a LinkedIn type thing, or like
Just over the years, it's been just referral based or other detailers that can't sustain work during the wintertime. This is considered the slowest time of the year for a lot of guys. We maintain, where we're busy 7 days a week, no matter what. But I also built that into my daily mindset and my mentality that we have to do, whether we're doing 4 to 6 cars a day or 8 to 12 cars a day with one tech on, doing a maintenance wash and maybe 1-2 details. I put it in and I put it out in the universe. Hey, we're going to be busy every day. And I make sure that we are. But also with that, back to the risk versus reward, comes a lot of risk when it comes to internet advertising, which obviously we could get into. You got Yelp advertising, Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. You have the YouTube side of things. I mean, it just depends on what are you willing to throw out in order to seek on a return.
So let me ask you this: when it does start to slow down, you maybe experience like a week or two where you notice things getting quiet. Is that kind of your strategy? Do you just start running ads at that point and like?
We run ads 24 hours a day,
all the
7
time.
days a week.
Even when you are busy, you're still
even when we're
ads.
busy, yeah.
Okay.
But also, even when you're slow, a lot of people aren't building a database. In business, database is absolutely everything. Without a database, you can't create anything. When you're slow, reach out to your good customers and say, hey Jeff, I know that we were just out last week. I have a little bit of a time block today. Would you mind if I come over and, do a complimentary carpet cleaning? The more value that you can provide your clients, the more that they're going to appreciate what you're doing. But it's that marketing, caption TOMA, top open mind awareness, right? So whenever someone thinks, or, back to the idea with Sandy, right? We're going to use Sandy as an example. So Sandy has a dirty car. As soon as it rains, Sandy's going to think of Jeff with Top Star Detailing. Sandy's going to think of Peter with the best detail. Sandy's always going to think, hey, this guy reached out to me on one of his slow days and he came out for free.
Yeah.
My favorite 4-letter word that everyone says, free, right? Free can create so much opportunity in the long run, but people seek instant gratification in this business where they want money now, and they get hooked on the greed where it becomes a drug to them. And I've been doing this 15 years, and anything that you want to have be successful takes time. Rome wasn't built overnight. Neither are auto detailing companies. Just as quickly as you can build them, they could fail just as quick.
Yeah.
And like you started hiring the right help versus the wrong help, and this is a perfect scenario. You could hire great guys where they can help scale your business, where they could help you run and grow it, or you could hire just as quickly where people may seem as if they're good, and if you aren't monitoring them, following up with them, they could also ruin and tarnish your brand faster than you could ever think.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Very, very fast.
When you say how having a database is really important, right? Do you use like any specific type of like CRM to like manage that? Is there like a software system that you like using and have good experience with?
We do. My brother-in-law has a consulting company. He uses High Level. So we use High Level for almost everything. A lot is set up through AI, which has been a huge, powerful tool because you train, the bot on how to speak your lingo of what you're offering, but also, typing in the client's name, last name, address, email address, vehicle make, model, specific notes. Now you nurture them into your database where you could do weekly follow-ups, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually.
That's all automated?
And that's all automated.
Yeah, wow.
So obviously I'm pretty involved in it day to day because I just started using it, but it's worked for us over the last 8 months tremendously.
Well, I've been curious about that, with AI and everything that's coming out and how that would, affect in the detailing industry, and how it can be used like for things like that, for automation. It's interesting to speak with someone that's actually starting to implement that, in the tools and use that in their business.
Of course.
Another thing I wanted to ask was, so you said you run ads pretty much all the time, whether it's slow, busy or not. Do you adjust your ad spend versus like when it's busy or slow, or is there kind of like a set amount that you just set aside every month and you run that consistently?
We're always going up the ladder. I never shut them down. We're here to build and grow. I want to create opportunity for people.
So when you say that, do you increase your budget then each month? Okay.
Of course.
And are you comfortable saying like what like approximate monthly ad spend would be for you? Or
I mean, it really depends whether we're doing Google or Yelp. You know, Google, it could be anywhere from, you know, $3,000 to $5,000 a month on one ad campaign. It depends on what we're marketing towards. Are you doing just strictly mobile detailing? Are you advertising, you know, ceramics? Are you advertising PPF? Are you advertising auto glass and window tint?
So you target the ads towards certain services.
Yeah, so we key target all of our ad spend towards a specific campaign of what we're looking to gather and nurture the work from, whether, like I said, it's mobile detailing, PPF, window tint, which we offer everything, you know, and then you could also advertise the RV detailing, boat detailing, aircraft, which is more of a niche market.
So you do all of that, then, all of those services?
Multiple ad campaigns all the time.
No, I mean those services as well too, PPF, tint, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't aware that you were also. So do you do that mobily then too?
PPF and window tint, not mobile. That's done out of the shop.
Okay.
Everything else is done on the mobile side.
Yeah.
You hire a lot of people.
Yeah.
When do you know it's time to let them go, fire them?
Being late one time, all right, I could understand. We all wake up late, right?
Yeah.
But constantly. And
what
that's
about
something
they miss stuff? They don't got that eye for detail. Do you work around that? Like, okay, you only go into the easy details, or?
That takes time, right? But also you can screen someone when you're speaking to them, whether you're finding them off Instagram, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a powerful profile, you know, setter now where, I mean, I have 2 guys off LinkedIn that have found me, and one has moved here from Colorado, and he's one of our best working technicians, and he got referred over from another guy that was like, hey man, go on a professional network site. And I've never really built out my LinkedIn, but he just found me on there.
Yeah.
And that's how we hired him. But training the right person to do what we do isn't rocket science, but it also takes a certain individual to understand, hey, this is an automotive detailing business. You know, we do reconditioning. You know, you have to have an eye for detail, and you're going to find out really quick within probably 3 to 5 days as people get comfortable around you, you know, because not everyone is good working with individuals or talking or communicating. So I think it takes about a week or 2 to really screen someone out, but I could usually tell within about 3 to 5 days now.
I think that's pretty accurate. I did have someone that I was using over the summer, and guy was a really hard worker. He had a great work ethic, showed up early, you know, and didn't complain and stuff like that, but he just didn't have the eye for detailing. He didn't see the little things that he was missing, like over and over and over again. And it was kind of, for me, basic stuff anyway, you know, like you move the seat forward, you vacuum it, you move it back, you know.
Of course.
After going over those same things with him multiple times over and over,
right,
and he still just wasn't picking it up, you know. And it's like you get to some point where you just realize they're not comprehending.
People either have it or they don't.
Yeah, they're just not the right fit. Like, would he make a great landscaper or something? Probably, because he's a hard ass worker and there's not a lot of detail involved, right? But
sure.
Cleaning cars, different scenario.
It's also something that's really cool and powerful is Eddie, obviously I grew up with him, we went to high school, but I gave him an opportunity and he ran with it, and now he went from working for me to now becoming an equity partner in a new division of what we've launched about 6 months ago, which is our power washing division, which we handle home, residential, commercial, concrete cleaning, surface cleaning, paver sealing, window washing. So now, just by him putting in 2.5 years.
Are you trying to like branch that off as a second business, or are you trying to include that under the best detail? Like,
that's a completely different brand and division now. Yeah.
So you have two separate listings for
2 separate entities,
Okay.
and that's going to be a completely different business. And taking all the tools and all of my knowledge and experience, what I've learned from the detailing now, I'm going to put that into the power washing business and build that, where I'm going to be involved for about 4 to 6 months, and I'm going to run that business. And I'm not going to work in that business. I'm going to work on that business.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do strictly business development, sales, marketing, anything that has to do with business development, and just building that business where I could still do the detailing because of how many people that we're encountered with every day. That'll just be a referral base for that company then.
Yeah, that sounds like a good strategy, and I've seen your setup with that business too, where you have the giant truck. Well, can you talk about that setup for a minute, as far as the difference between that versus like a mobile detailing setup, and why it would really need to be two separate setups versus just trying to do it with like a detailing setup?
So your detailing setups, we're running a Honda pressure washer. They run 2.5 gallons a minute, 1800 psi. Our hot rig that we have is a Hotsy. It runs 8 gallons a minute, 3000 psi, 3500, gets up to 180 degrees. So that's a completely different ball game. Obviously, if you're using different tips, you know, for power washing versus car cleaning, I mean, you could take paint off with the power washing rig immediately. But also, we're using hard water, you know, from people's houses, from hookups on commercial property. So we aren't using any of that water on our cars.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it also helps, you know, when we're doing hull cleaning on boats with the acid washing, you crank that hot water up and it just melts it right off. So you can use it for some stuff, or we'll use it when we're doing our RV cleanings for cleaning up the roofs. I mean, hot water with minimal citrus APC cleaners. No scrubbing involved, but also, you know, a skid like that is about $17,000.
Yeah, so it really needs to be two separate businesses. I know I hear a lot of guys, sometimes they'll talk about, I think I'm gonna maybe do some like sidewalk pressure washer and driveways and stuff, and I'm like, I think you need a completely different setup for that.
It's totally different.
That type, unless you're pressure washing garbage cans or something, you know what I mean?
Correct.
Like to do driveways and concrete and stuff, it's not gonna work with what you're running for mobile detailing.
To do it the right way, you want to really separate yourself. But also, when you work into the commercial space, you know, now you're dealing with, you know, big corporations. So it just, you know, pick your poison of what you're wanting to deal with. You know, but there's opportunity in everything. I hope it succeeds. I mean, we're off to a good start. We tried it once, and we cut ourselves a little too thin by jumping the gun. So we sold it. We waited about a year and built up, you know, some more relationships. So we were able to do it on a different level, and now we're looking at, you know, being in some surrounding states. We have some work contracted with a company now that we'll be doing in Utah, Arizona, and then some up in Colorado.
How old are you, Peter, for those who want to know?
I'm 34, but I feel like I'm 70 sometimes.
No, you look good for your age.
Thank you.
I was just curious because you're very like well versed in business. I mean, you obviously are very successful in what you're doing. Have you gone through any type of like business training courses or like self-development? Do you read a lot of like business strategy books? Like how did you grow to the level that you're at?
Reading, I never believed in. I used to read Captain Underpants as a kid. Personal development is one of the most fulfilling things that you could do because you learn a lot about yourself throughout the process. Hiring coaches, mentors, you know, there's a lot of people that are pitching this kind of stuff on social media, and a lot of it might be fake and a lot of it is good. You just have to find the following of what you're really looking to go after, but also you have to find the people that have been in your shoes that have failed 1,000 times before they've succeeded. And I failed a lot too, you know? And I mean, I'm 34 and I'm starting over for the third time. And there's nothing wrong with it. And I don't live life with any regrets. I'm happy that everything has happened to me with my past because it's evolved and it's developed me into who I'm becoming today. And, you know, I recently just paid one of my personal clients for a year of business development and coaching, and it's not cheap, but it's one of the best things that you can do.
I mean, I think failure's part of the process. You know, it's as long as you fail forward, they say, right?
Correct.
You fail and you learn from your mistakes and you grow from them. It's funny to me because I talk to a lot of detailers now that reach out to me on Instagram, and you know, we talk a little bit similar about what we're talking about right now, and I'll ask them like, you know, what are you listening to while you're working all day? And almost like 95% of them will go to some type of music. None of them ever say like podcasts or, you know what I mean? Like me personally, like throughout the day, I'm listening to like all different types of business podcasts and things like that, where you can like learn and earn at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, I got 8 to 10 hours of time today. Like,
Yeah,
what
can
I
you
learn? What
digest?
can I absorb in that? Like, I don't want to just be listening to, I like music once in a while, like, don't get me wrong, it's like cool to get you amped up when you're starting to drag or something, but almost none of them ever say, yeah, I listen to this podcast or this podcast or this podcast. And
right.
I think it's really important to, like, you know, have that type of stuff. It's you know, feeding your brain essentially throughout the day. So
you have to fuel yourself with positivity. You know, negativity will drain you down on a physical level, but also as a mental mind state as well.
Yeah.
You know, and you gotta, anytime you surround yourself with people, it's like, you know, who do you want to be surrounded yourself by? You know, do you want to put yourself around minimum wage people? Then you're going to be, you know, around minimum wage people. You know, the best advice that I could give people is wherever you surround yourself with or wherever you are, be the brokest person in the room. And that's how you really start to level up. And it works, you know, because there's nothing wrong with asking for advice. And the people that don't ask for advice and seek advice, they're missing out on so many opportunities nowadays.
They get in their comfort zone and they don't want to, like, branch out of that and take the next step up. As far as advice goes, what would be maybe just one piece of advice you could give those new detailers that might just be kind of getting into the business, just starting their journey, looking back, you know, over the course of your career? What's one piece of advice that you would give to them as a newbie?
Go out and work with other companies and be honest and just say, hey, you know, I'm really passionate about being in this industry. I always wanted to start my own. Do you mind if I work alongside you and just be mentored by you? Yeah. You know, what you're going to learn being coached and mentored or by working by an industry leader rather than trying to go out and do it yourself or watch some of these YouTube videos or, you know, go on YouTube, type in this and that. Everyone has different strategies. Yeah. You can go to training courses, but the things with those, not saying that they're bad in any way, shape, or form, but you're working on the same car for that same 3 or 4 days. Yeah. You know, when we help people get into the business, we sell business opportunity packages, which has been a huge part of our success, is you don't know what you're getting yourself into until you show up on the job site.
Real world
scenarios, you know.
I try to present that in, like, my videos, being a mobile detailer, like, we're out here on the front lines and it's not like you're in the shop, everything's this nice controlled environment, like you said, with training on one vehicle and all this. It's like, it's completely different when you're out and you have to adapt to the landscapers or, you know, doing this, and it's a whole different game when you're out there actually doing it.
Absolutely.
In person.
I 100% agree. But yeah, it just back to what we were saying, I mean, there's nothing wrong with reaching out to people and asking for help. You know, if you aren't reaching out asking for help, you're failing already, in my eyes. Yeah. You know, I think one of the most important things that you can do, you know, if I don't know what I'm working on, I'm giving someone a call and I'm asking someone that's doing a lot better than me for some advice. Yeah. You know, and that's a part of the business, but that's also a part of life.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. And like you said too, there's a lot of these guys out there now, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this, that are like selling courses. Like, I've had guys that approach me to, like, whether it be on social media, whatever, and they want to sell me a course on how to scale your business to a 6-figure business, right? And I ask them, like, well, what's your detailing business? And they don't even have a detailing business, right? There's, like, people out there that haven't even done the thing, and they're going to try to coach you on to how to do it. And, you know, and that, to me, like, it just drives me crazy, because it's like, really the only thing that they're skilled at is selling courses. You know, it's not actually, like, helping you. They're not really have your best interest in mind, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's just, they just want to sell you the course, which they probably designed on ChatGPT or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the internet is a very powerful tool nowadays, but going back to how we originally started, it's the guys that have been in the industry for 10, 15, 20 plus years. Yeah. Anyone that calls them that are getting into the business, they're gonna be the first one that picks up and takes the time of the day and gives advice, where a lot of these influencers online, anyone can go sell a course, but unless you've been in the field doing that kind of work, you aren't really going to understand and know how this business is fully ran and how to be fully successful. It's not hard to go make $100,000 a year detailing cars. It really isn't. You go do ceramic coatings, you go do mobile detailing. You know, we're a 7-figure a year business. Right. And I'm very proud to be able to say that, because not a lot of people can build that as a mobile outfit. Yeah. You know, and it's not that it's easy, but you have to think strategically on how to capture your audience. And
Yeah.
once you do, provide as much value as you can. Value, 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 and then go ask one of your customers for a referral. All of these guys are scared on being on the internet, so they're taking all these Instagram photos, being weekend warriors, and their work might be mediocre. But when you go to a customer's house or a residence, you may not know exactly what you're doing. So
Yeah.
provide as much value as you can, 3, 4, 5 times of doing their car where the people get comfortable with you and the customer's like, hey, Jeff's a solid guy. I want to help this guy out.
Yeah.
And then ask him, hey, what about your neighbors next door? I see that, they may have a 488 Ferrari and a Maserati or a GLS, whatever the cars may be. Whether it's a Hyundai or a Ferrari, they all get treated the same. But most importantly, the way that you present yourself to the customer should always be the same. Just because this guy drives a $30,000, $40,000 car and this guy drives a $600,000, $700,000 car, doesn't mean that those people are any different on a financial scale, but you should treat them with the same amount of respect.
Yeah.
And that's been a huge part of our success. Whether you drive a Hyundai or a Lamborghini, each car gets treated the exact same.
One thing, I just wanted to dial it back to one thing we were talking about earlier, and I don't want to run the video too long, but this is some info I wanted to get from you on perspective on scaling for myself.
Sure.
Right now, as a solo detailer, working the schedule that I'm working, which is pretty crazy, I'm like targeting to do around 160K a year in revenue, right? So that's not take home, obviously. That's
gross.
Gross,
Okay.
yeah. Net, I'm estimating like a 50% on that, you know what I mean? After
Which is still
taking
great.
expenses and everything, like 80K. So if I'm going by math, right, and I wanted to add on a second unit, let's say I'm able to double the amount of gross, which I think is probably high. It's probably a little unrealistic to think I'm going to double just because adding a second unit would automatically double that, right?
Sure.
But for math's sake, let's say it doubled from 160 to 320, right? But my profit margin now is at like 50%. Would you say that when adding a second unit and adding multiple employees, would it be like reasonable to think that my profit margin would go from like 50% down to 25%?
You're going to be at about a 20% margin on that.
Okay, so based on that math, here's what troubles me with it, right? Is if that's the case, if I'm making 320 gross now,
Sure.
but the profit margin's 20 to 25%, I'm actually still taking home the same amount as I was as a solo detailer.
Oh, hold on. So pause. So adding an additional after you pay out, you're going to be at about a 20 to 25% margin.
Okay.
Yeah, not including both. So your 50% margin is going to stay, but as you add in, your margins come down. Missing equipment, broken equipment, wear and tear.
But you're saying, okay, say 25% margin on 320,
Sure.
right? So then that still is 80K,
Sure.
which is at 160 to 50, that's 80K. So I'm still like 80K, but I have a larger operation with an additional trailer, multiple employees. So for me, I guess it's hard to see like where the benefit is in that with running 2 units and multiple employees. If at the end of the day, I take home the same amount, but I have more headaches with employees and workers' comp and all that stuff, like when does it start to make sense from a profit standpoint? Like how many units do you actually need to get to where I exceed that even out, you know what I mean? Like at 3, at 4, like.
That's preference on what you're trying to net with take home after all expenses are paid for, but also in our market, we have to also focus on volume base.
Yeah.
Because people, once you turn that advertising switch on, you can't turn it off. Once you turn it off, you lose it all. Then you can't pay your people. Then they go to other companies.
How many hours a week would you say you're spending? No, in the business, because I know you work a lot on the business and everything too. But when I say in the business, like doing the manual side of it, actually detailing and all that.
I'm out, I try to be out 7 days a week because I genuinely enjoy the work, but also with where I'm at, also starting a different brand in a division, I want to meet as many people as we can so we could be capturing more clients to keep building our database. But if I'm not out working, fortunately, I have a couple, rigs on the road where I can take an hour, 2 hours a day to go do sales or go meet with people or go to network meetings. But in the field every day, 6 days a week, we're at about 8 to 10 hours a day.
Okay. So you still work a pretty significant amount. Yeah.
I work 15 to 17 hours a day, no matter what.
Yeah.
Rain or shine.
Yeah.
And that's important, because when your workers see you, not as if they would ever see me, but people that try to run these businesses, if they sit behind a computer and a desk all day just, demanding to go do this and that, they start to lose respect for the owner. So I like to be out getting my hands dirty in the field with everybody, but I also like helping other detailers locally, because the more that I could build, the more that I could be passing off to others, where it just helps everyone out. Because we have a huge, diverse culture of companies out here that everyone tries to go after the same client or the same company to get the same amount of work, where, like we were saying before, I mean, there's millions of people that live out here, there's millions of cars.
Yeah.
And there's so many opportunities where conventions per se, we do a lot of convention trade show work. We work with 2 other companies out here where we both come in and we handle the work together.
Yeah.
Which is also beneficial to everyone, because then everyone can take on these bigger contracts where you're making the bigger dollar amount, where that's where it helps having a team set into place. But if you don't have the contacts for that, or you don't have things set up where you have a team, now you start spreading yourself too thin, and you start asking customers, hey, why are you switching auto detail services where, you're signing up with us now for a subscription instead of your last company? Oh, well, I can't get a hold of them. I tried calling them 1-2 times. They just don't show up. They're an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours late. I mean, the excuses go on and on. People don't want to hear that. They hire you for a service. They're paying for a luxury premium service. They expect you to be on it.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that's important.
I like what you're saying. It makes sense. It's like you have to be a soldier before you could be a general. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be out there on the front lines, on the battlefield, before you could be a general. And you're still out there on the front lines, even when you are a general, and you're leading the soldiers at that point. You know what I mean? You're not up in the ivory tower in your office just sitting back, and I think a lot of people don't realize, or they underestimate the amount of actual work and hours that you have to be out in the business, working in the business, on the business. It's a never-ending thing, and even when the detailing's done at the end of the day, it doesn't end there.
It doesn't end.
And it's you're washing towels and restocking products and doing stuff on the computer, and so these people that think, hey, I want to start my own business, I want to be a business owner so I can work my own schedule and work my own hours. They have this image of, I'm going to work 40 to 50 hours a week, have 2 days off, and make 6 figures a year.
They have no idea what they're walking into.
It's not realistic for people to have those aspirations. And I don't want to shoot anyone down from their dreams or anything. It's really just more setting realistic expectations of the amount that has to go into it, what you're going to get out of it, what you put into it, right? And 100%. It takes time. I get a lot of these detailers that are like, how come I'm not at this level yet? How come I want to get to here? I want to get to here, and they've only been in business like 3 months, and they're comparing themselves to someone like you, that's been doing it 14 years. And I'm like, you can't compare your year 1 to someone's year 14. It just doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up.
You're still at the white belt level, and you're like an 8th degree black belt, or like, you know what I mean? Like, so you got to put in the reps, you got to put in the time. And I think that's a good kind of reality check for some people that are thinking about starting their business or already in business, and they want to get to that level of success that they see when they're out, guys running multiple units and putting up the kind of numbers that we're putting up, So
yeah, and it's not easy. It's just, you got to be consistent, you got to be efficient, and you got to be motivated. A lot of people get the wrong view of business from social media, and unless you're physically doing it and you're speaking to people that are in the daily field doing what you're doing, no one will really ever understand. You know? But it takes time, and it just takes time. You got to be organized, you got to be passionate, and you can't look at this business for just collecting the money. You actually have to have a passion for being around cars and being able to provide a good customer service. And once you do, the money is just a floodgate. If you're passionate about what you do, you provide a great service, you provide great value, the money just comes. and it's nonstop.
Yeah, I like to say that too. Don't chase the money.
Yeah.
Chase excellence, and the money will follow.
Absolutely.
In time.
I definitely agree with that.
So Peter, one thing I wanted to ask you is how important do you feel it is to have like a professional setup, like something like this or like what I have? How important do you think that is to the success of running your detail business?
Huge. Setups can range from $1,000 to $15,000 to $17,000 for a build. Obviously on top of your vehicle, you know, there's guys that'll start out of the back of a truck for $500, $1,000. It's going to get the job done, but it's not going to get the job done efficiently.
Yeah.
Everything that we do with our setups, obviously, as you see here, sorry, we're currently working, it's a little dirty. All of our towels, color coordination is huge. You know, we got orange that we use specifically for wheels, door jambs, blue for windows, yellow, final wipe down, wax, green, interior wipe down. We use big drying towels. We use blow dryers to dry the vehicles. Everything in this business being a mobile service provider, it's all about time and efficiency. So all of our cars and jobs that we do, they're already timed out, where we could be in and out doing a car in anywhere from 32 to 48 minutes for a simple maintenance routine cleaning. You know, details obviously can range an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, depending, but having a unique workable setup that's efficient is going to be key. Everything is on reels, so it helps so you aren't picking up, moving around. Having the proper setup and investing in the proper setup is going to be key to your success as well.
Yeah. So having that set time limits like you do you ever find yourself where the vehicle's not completely done yet and you've hit the time limit? Then do you like charge extra to move forward, or do you just say, hey, that's good enough and on to the next one?
Nothing's good enough until the customer approves for what they're paying for the amount of service of what they're getting. Obviously, you aren't going to go, you know, eat out and expect a medium well Wagyu or whatever and it comes out well done. I mean, you aren't going to be happy. It's the same thing when it comes to automotive detailing as well, you know. But most of our preventative maintenance service clients, we have them set where we get them done in and out just because we see them so regularly, whether it's once a week, twice a month, you know, 3 times a month.
So you know what you're getting into before you even get there.
Correct.
Yeah,
very vaguely do we run into a problem with our regular customer base, which all of our vans service. New customers, we try to, you know, screen our phone calls or emails of the information that's being said as best as we can, although sometimes people are a little embarrassed or afraid to let you know exactly how long. So, you know, new cars could take an extra hour or 2 hours, depending on the condition and the service of what you're doing.
Well, hey, Peter, man, we're super stoked to have you today, man. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. You're here on site detailing at a customer's house, and I really appreciate you letting us come to you on location and spending some time with us to ask you some questions and get your insight on the industry, man. It's been some really good value in there. I got a lot of gems out of it myself. I'm sure the viewers out there are going to love the content, and really appreciate you, brother.
Man. Thank you so much.
Bring it in. Love
Yes,
you,
sir.
man.
Love you too, Jeff. Thank you so much.